Should you learn grammar or not? Maybe you've been asking yourself this question and you're confused about whether grammar is important or not. And should you learn it or should you just skip it? So, today I'm going to share with you my ideas and opinions about this problem. By the end of this video, you will exactly know whether you should study grammar or not. Let's get started then. The reason why we must address this question of whether we should study grammar or not is because we must clear our confusions. If we are learning English and we're confused about grammar and all of these things, then learning English will be very difficult for us and we are like always full of doubts. And also, let's assume that grammar is not important at all. But if you're spending all of this time learning grammar, maybe you're spending 1 hour, 2 hours every single day to learn grammatical rules, then in that case, you might be wasting a lot of your time. So that's why we must talk about whether grammar is important or not and should you learn it or should you just skip it. When I was in school, we spent a lot of time learning grammar topics because they were part of our syllabus. So we had to learn and memorize all of those grammatical rules because we had to give an exam at the end. But at that time, if I knew what I'm going to share with you in this video, then I would have not wasted all of those years learning random grammar topics. That's why today we will discuss two main ideas, two main concepts that you can apply to really answer this question of do you need to study grammar or not? The first one is whether you need to study grammar or not really depends on your goals. If your goal is to speak English properly, fluently, and you only want to work on your spoken English, then you don't need grammar at all. Just skip it. In a minute, I'm going to share with you the reasons why you don't need grammar for English speaking. But on the other hand, if your goal is to get high scores in exams, then you need to study grammar like I had to in school. Also, if you want to improve your writing skills, then I believe in that case you also need to study some grammatical topics, at least the basic ones. And also, if you want to become an English teacher, you want to teach English in schools and stuff, then you also need to have some grammar knowledge. But as I said, if your goal is to improve your spoken English, then you don't need grammar at all. You don't need to study it. And let me explain why. We learn a language through our ears, not through our eyes. Just like children and babies learn languages. When a baby is born into a family, it does not memorize grammar rules from a book. Instead, it listens to its parents and people around that baby. And I believe adults learn languages the same way. We don't need to study all of these grammatical rules from a book, like from page 1 to page 300. We don't need to memorize all of those rules to speak English correctly. Instead, we can just try to surround ourselves with the environment of English, and that's how we will learn this language. And by the way, I'm not saying that grammar is not important at all for speaking. No, right now I'm speaking English to you. I'm speaking correctly because I know the correct grammar. If I didn't know the correct grammar, you would not be able to understand me. My sentences would not make sense. All what I'm trying to say here is that we don't need to study grammar rules from a book. Instead, we can learn grammar naturally by being in the environment, by listening to English a lot. So we still need to learn grammar, but the way we learn grammar would be different when we try to improve our speaking skills. The point I'm trying to make here is that we learn grammar unconsciously by being in the environment of the language we're learning. For example, I never ever studied the grammar of my native language. I've never even seen a grammar book in my native language, but I can still speak my native language correctly without any mistakes, without any grammatical mistakes. I don't like consciously know the grammar rules, but subconsciously when I speak, I use correct grammar. That is because I learned the grammar of my native language by being in the environment of my native language. And you and I can do the same thing with English. We can just listen to English a lot, be in the environment of English, and that's how we will consume and absorb the grammar rules as well, subconsciously. The second idea I want to share with you is that whether we should study grammar or not also depends on your English level. If you are a beginner in English, then I would recommend stay away from grammar. Stay like 10 kilometers away from grammar because it's so boring, it's so overwhelming. I couldn't bear studying all those grammar rules when I was in school. I wish I didn't do that. If you're a beginner in English, don't start with grammar. Instead, directly start speaking English. Even if you make mistakes, that's fine. Over time, you will correct those mistakes and you will learn grammar unconsciously, like I described. If your English level is intermediate and you understand English a little bit, you can also speak well. Then, if you have some free time, then it makes sense to study at least the basic grammar topics. You should study topics like tenses, conditionals, parts of speech, direct indirect narrations. All of these are important. If you're a level above intermediate, let's say you're an advanced English learner or you are an English teacher, then you must study grammar rules, even though you don't need them for your spoken English, but they might be helpful in some situations, like I said. They might help you with writing, they might help you with teaching other people, other kids, and also they might help you get high scores in different exams. Alright, share your thoughts with us in the comments and answer this question. Do you think grammar is important or not? And should we study it or just skip it? Okay, I hope this lesson was helpful. See you in the next one. By the way, in the meantime, you can watch this video in which I really shared how you can learn vocabulary from start to finish. Okay, bye for now. See you in the next one.